Hi, everyone. Ed Bixby here from the Global Green Burial Alliance, and this is Spotlight Now. Today, I'm here with Amy Bridger, who is the co founder of Farmstead Scattering Garden, a mail and ash scattering service based on her family's fourth generation working cattle farm in northwestern Pennsylvania. She helps families create unattended, nature based farewells that honor both loved ones and the land. In addition to her work with Farmstead, Amy has served as Assistant Dean for Innovation and Corporate Strategy at Penn State Behrend, where she leads initiatives that connect sustainability, manufacturing, and community partnerships. She lives on the family farm with her husband and two children, where the intersection of agriculture, education, and the care for the earth guides her daily life. So, welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. So, for our viewers, why don't we get started by learning about more of the history of your farm and the property? I understand it's been in your family since 1963.
Yes, my mother-in-law and father-in-law purchased the property in 1963. So my husband has grown up there his entire life. He's one of five kids. And so they really lived the farming life for generations even before that. John's grandfather was the first milk producer to do pasteurization in our area. And so they've always been somewhat innovative in the farming community and just long-standing members of the dairy farm community until about the late 1990s when my father-in-law retired and they sold the dairy cattle. And a few years later, my husband said, I really kind of miss the cows. Could we get some more? And I said, I don't think so. And he said, how about beef? And I said, you know what, we could do beef farms. So we now have a cow-calf operation for beef. And then I'm a horse person. And so we have my horses ranging in age from 25 down to 6 years of age. And then my kids show various livestock and horses in 4-H. So we often have pigs on the farm or lambs or goats or, whatever comes our way. So we have about 60 to 70 heartbeats on the farm that we take care of on a daily basis, which is just the best life ever. I grew up in a neighboring town, the daughter of two academics, so I spent my life indoors as a daughter of a librarian. We each have our individual chairs. We read a lot of books, but I often said that I wanted to grow up and live on a farm, and my family all thought I was crazy. But here I am kind of living my dream, and my kids get to live the dream with me. And so it's just been great. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Well, it sounds like a really beautiful setting. And, tell us a little bit about what led you to offer cremains scattering on your property. Was it a personal interest, an experience, a community need? What brought you to that place?
Yeah, so we talk about this story a lot. I am a big card game player and a big board game player, and every year I host a marathon card game called 500. We play all day with 21 of my card playing friends, and I have relatives coming from all over to kind of come and play cards in one of our family card games. And so during that card game a couple of years ago, my cousins were making fun of me because I was somewhat collecting ashes at the time. My father-in-law had passed away. I have his ashes. My sister-in-law has passed away. I have her ashes. They're waiting for my mother-in-law to join them, and then they want to be scattered. And then I also have my dad's ashes. And so they were teasing me that I had all these ashes kind of hanging out on the farm, waiting for different scenarios to kind of play out. And it made me start thinking that maybe there was a need or other folks that would love to be scattered on the farm. So in some ways, farmers are always looking to diversify their operations. And you see that in people doing corn mazes, and they have cow cuddling, and they have goat yoga, and they have all sorts of different ways. A lot of folks I find come into this industry with a background in this industry, but for us, it's somewhat of a way to diversify the farm operations in a way that helps us give back to the community. We're very service oriented in our family through various ways. And so it was, when we started kind of poking through that and looking at the market, we realized that there actually was a strong need for a solution kind of in the middle of the spectrum. So we have a lot of folks that offer the full funeral home, traditional burial type thing, whether it's, green or otherwise. that really are strongly tied to a location. And then we have a lot of the ash scattering that is, you get shot out of a firework or get launched into the ocean, and it really is not tied to any one location. So I think where we saw a need with our love of the land is that we're kind of in the middle where it is an unattended ash scattering, but we do have a location. You could come back in 10 years and show me the map that I email you at the end of the, process, and I'll be able to tell you exactly where your loved one was scattered, and we could, go look at it. So I think that in between, where it's a scattering but kind of still location based, was something we thought we could give back to the community. And I also think there's a huge need for it. Unlike traditional burial or even green burial, people check the box of cremation and then they think that's it. That's the last decision. But what we found is there's a lot of folks that don't know what to do with the ashes afterwards, and they just kind of collect these ashes on their shelf, and they don't feel great about it. So I think it's a good opportunity for us to kind of service those folks in a cost-effective way.
No, absolutely, Amy. And the interesting thing is that you're very similar to just about everyone I speak to in our movement. You didn't choose the industry, you just kind of found your way to it and had a passion for it. And you're absolutely right. With cremation, it's very final. There's not a lot of celebration or memorialization. So when people have the ability later on to find that special place, it really is meaningful. So you're doing some great work. And with that being said, could you paint a picture of the cremains, whether they be garden spaces? I understand you offer a variety of different settings for the scatterings.
Sure. So really, I mean, the farm is our playground. We have about 200 acres, just shy of 200 acres to work with, and our farm is full of biodiversity. So we have pastures, we have woods, we have bed of ferns, we have wildflowers that are seasonal in there. We have, someone could be wanting to be very still and quiet and be tucked away in the backside of our woods, which is great. That's not, traversed um, a lot. Or they could be like my dad, who wanted to be the center of every party, right? He never met a party he didn't like. So he really wants to be a part of every party. And so then we have spots that are more, the animals are there, or it's a throughway for white-tailed deer, or they want to be in a more active space, and so we can put them in various places. But we also have 4 seasons, so we have summer, fall, spring, and winter, very distinct seasons, right? We are in northwestern Pennsylvania, so we get about 150 inches of snow a year, and we have some of the most beautiful sunrises and sunsets in the summer you'll ever see. So we have a wide variety of not only spaces, but then seasons. And then we kind of offer a variety of experiences to go along with it. So it's almost like a build your own adventure book. If you remember those, choose your
Yeah.
own adventure books from the 1980s. It's somewhat like that, but we can help anyone that's interested in nature or farming. It's kind of a blank slate.
Well, it sounds beautiful. And if for the viewers, anyone who hasn't visited northwestern Pennsylvania, it is an absolutely stunningly beautiful place. So
It is.
I,
It
I can
is.
I can imagine it from, because I've been there. But I would encourage anyone watching this, to think of visiting an area like that because it's beautiful. Are your families able to participate in the scattering and visit the site? Uh, and do you accommodate, like, let's say, small ceremonies or gatherings when you have these, or is it all remotely done?
It's all remotely done for 2 reasons. One is because we are heavy on safety, and we're a working farm. So we often have machinery out there. We have family that hunt on our property. So it's not very safe for people to come and just be on that property without us knowing. Like, one of my husband's worst fears is he's going to come around the corner and see somebody like right in front of him. But also the farm is farming takes precedence over almost anything else. Like, the number of family dinners, even holidays that have had to be postponed, or birthday parties because either the hay needed baled, or, a cow is having problems calving, or whatever things, the horses are out. That was my yesterday morning adventure. So it often takes precedence over literally everything else. And so we didn't want to risk the disappointment of saying, oh, sure, come on your parents' 50th wedding anniversary to scatter the ashes, and then realize that the farming part just takes precedence. And so instead of risking the disappointment, we just decided to not offer that. And so instead we partner with different folks, end of death doulas, different, service providers that can provide that ahead of time. So they get that memorialization that they would like, different types of things. And then we can also videotape, a home video quality, but videotape if you wanted some, a poem read or a song played or anything like that, we can do that and videotape it and send it to you afterwards.
Okay, that's understandable. I mean, I do a lot of ocean scattering, and sometimes the conditions in the ocean are conducive to bring families out. It
Yeah.
can be quite. We do the same. We video. We show the scattering of the ashes. So that's totally understandable. Uh, with that being said, are your families seeking you directly, or do you work mainly with the funeral homes, or is it a mix of both? What are the reasons the families are drawn to your services, and how do they find you?
Yeah, so for the most part, we've been dealing with families directly. Uh, you know, it's funny, I've never thought about search engine optimization as much as I do right now, but it's such a huge piece of what we do, just getting everything to the point of being able to be findable, right? Your search visibility, what that looks like. I'm surprised by the number of folks that will contact me and say, I've been searching for months, and then all of a sudden your site popped up. And so there are a lot of folks that are looking for services like this. And so mostly direct. We've decided to start trying to partner more with funeral homes. I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't hit a lot of those yet. We have an affiliate program that we offer for different service providers if they want to partner with us. We've had at least 4 ash scatterings that have come to us because they went to a funeral home crematorium. They thought the ashes were being scattered as part of that service, and it turned out they were not. And so they were very stressed about the fact that they had to deal with something they didn't want to have to deal with. So we do contact those funeral homes that have customers that bring their scatterings to us and just let them know that we're there as an option. But I don't know if it's maybe a little bit of an unknown, but for right now, most of the families come to us directly.
That's I mean, and that's not surprising. It seems to typically end with the funeral provider when someone has a cremation, and it's a wonderful thing that they can choose, a beautiful natural landscape, to be able to honor their loved ones. The farm sounds lovely, and that brings me to something else that might be some low hanging fruit for your business. A lot of ashes go unclaimed, and the funeral directors unfortunately have them for extended periods of time, and then at some point they have to find a space for them. Have you had any interest with unclaimed ashes, or is it just typically family members that are dealing with their direct family?
Yeah, I've had a couple of calls about unclaimed ashes. I think every state is different, I believe, on how that has to, are they the owner of those ashes? What are their options for, disposing and dispersing those ashes and what that looks like. I haven't had anyone call me and actually like take me up on it. I do think we're a really cost effective method for that. Our basic ash scattering starts at $200 a scattering. Um, and so, even the most expensive like option we have, if you took everything we had to offer, is about $1,200. So from an unclaimed ashes perspective, I do think it could be a solution. We just haven't had anyone take us up on that.
Okay. Yeah, and it will be. I think it will be in the future after people view this because like you said, there is a process. There are, they have to keep them for a certain period of time and get permission to do so. But it's a necessary part of what we do. And it's been lovely speaking to you. It brings me to the best part of our show. I mean, we always want to know what our spotlight attendees, what their visions are, in the future. So where would you hope to see Farmstead Scattering, let's say in the next 5 to 10 years?
I guess my hope is that we're still going strong, to be honest. I think there's a lot of unmet need in this space. Um, I really view us as a stress relieving service, right? So almost oddly everything in my life has a service component to it. I work at a college that has a land grant mission where we are required to affect the communities in which we live and work. I'm a longtime 4-H volunteer. I volunteer various places at our local ski hill and different places like that. So for me, it really is a way to give back to the community, but also a way to keep us kind of diverse in how we do it. My kids are now leaving for college. One just left and one is leaving in a few years. Because I work at a college, they have to go because I work very hard so that they can get a discount that makes it very easy for them to attend. So I guess in 5 to 10 years, my guess is my family is still super interested in the give back portion of this and what we can offer folks. But that if they come back and they're able to, be a family entity with us would be my
Right.
ultimate goal.
Well, that's a lovely vision, and I'm sure they will. I mean, children often want to go off and explore the world, which they
Sure.
should, but once they get a little taste of the big city and things like that, sometimes the farm life seems very attractive. So
Yep,
they
absolutely.
seem to be led back later in life. So, it's been a real pleasure, Amy. We really appreciate what you do. I mean, so for the viewers, you can learn more by visiting farmsteadscattering.com. So, thanks for joining us today, Amy. It was a pleasure.
Oh, thanks. Well, I always appreciate being able to talk about it.
Great, absolutely. So, all right, everybody, see you at the next spotlight now.